Day, and officials are briefing the media on the progress and rights protection in China's parasports, and they're also releasing a white paper. So now let's go live to the scene.
女士们、先生们，大家
Ladies
上午
and
好。
gentlemen, good morning.
欢迎
Welcome to
出席
the
国务院新闻办
press conference of the
新闻办公会。
State Council Information
今天
Office.
国务院新闻办公
Today,
室
we
发
will
布
publish
中国残疾人体育事业
the
发展
white
和
paper,
权利保障
China's
白皮书
Parasports Progress
并介绍
and Protection
解读
of
白皮
Rights,
书有关内
and
容。
give an introduction and
出席今天
elaboration
发
of
布
the
会的
white
有
paper.
中央
Present at
宣
the
传
press
部
conference
副部长
are
吕元松
Mr.
先生
Lyu Yansong, Vice Minister of the
中国
Publicity
残联副
Department
理
of the
事长
CPC Central
王梅梅女
Committee,
士
Ms. Wang Meimei, Vice
国家
President
体育
of
总
the
局副局长刘
Executive
国勇
Board
先生
of China Disabled Persons
中国
Federation,
残联新闻发
Mr.
言人
Liu
郭立
Guoyong,
群
Vice
先生。
Minister of General
下面我
Administration
们
of
首先请
Sports,
吕元
and
松先生
Mr.
发布白
Guo
皮书。
Liqun, spokesperson of China Disabled Persons Federation. Now, opening remarks from Mr. Lyu Yansong. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media, good morning. General Secretary Xi Jinping very much cares about the 85 million persons with disabilities in China. Since the 18th CPC National Congress under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, China has included the cause of persons with disabilities into the five-sphere integrated plan and the four-pronged comprehensive strategy. Now, the protection of the rights and interests of persons with disabilities is stronger, and there is greater equality, participation, and benefits on the part of persons with disabilities. Their sense of benefit, happiness, and security has been rising steadily. Today, we're publishing the white paper, China's Parasports, Progress and the Protection of Rights. This is the first ever white paper on the parasports in China. China has made historic achievements in developing the rehabilitation and fitness sports, competitive sports for persons with disabilities, promoting equal participation in social activities, and development achievements on the part of persons with disabilities. Parasports is an important way for persons with disabilities to enhance fitness, physical and mental well-being, and to take part in social activities and achieve well-rounded development. It is an unique way for people to realize the potential and value of persons with disabilities and promoting social harmony. Developing parasports is of high importance for protecting the equal rights of persons with disabilities, promoting inclusiveness, and letting persons with disabilities to share in the economic and social development achievements. The white paper has three parts: preamble, main body, and conclusion. The main body has 5 parts, namely, parasports have progressed through national development, physical activities for persons with disabilities have flourished, performances in parasports are improving steadily, contributing to international parasports, and achievements in parasports reflect improvements in China's human rights. From these 5 parts, we can see that parasports is a mirror that reflects the well-being and human rights of persons with disabilities. In China, all the political, economic, social, and cultural rights of persons with disabilities are guaranteed, and that has laid a solid foundation for these people to take part in sports, social activities, and achieving well-rounded development. First, parasports have progressed through national development. In socialist revolution and construction, reform and opening up, socialist modernization, and building socialism with Chinese characteristics for new era. We have seen that with the growing cause of persons with disabilities, parasports has also developed and flourished. We have embarked on a path for parasports that is distinctly Chinese and meets the trend of the times. After the founding of New China, parasports have grown steadily and enjoyed fast development amid reform and opening up. We have achieved historic achievement in parasports in the new era. General Secretary Xi Jinping made important remarks on the cause of persons with disabilities, including on parasports. He gave important instructions and guidance, pointing the way forward for the development of the cause of persons with disabilities. China has included parasports in the Fitness for All, Healthy China, and Building China into a country strong in sports. This reflects China's institutional strength in developing the cause of persons with disabilities. The awareness to understand, respect, care for, and help persons with disabilities has taken hold. More and more persons with disabilities are now leading fulfilling lives through taking part in parasports. The spirit of persons with disabilities in pursuing excellence and their unyielding spirit of pushing limits has inspired the entire nation and promoted the progress of civilization. Second, physical activities for persons with disabilities have flourished. The rehabilitation and fitness sports for persons with disabilities have flourished in different localities in light of their local conditions. We have the National Special Olympic Day, Fitness Week for persons with disabilities, and Winter Sports Season for persons with disabilities. These are all national parasports events. Starting from 2016, we have held the Winter Sports Season for persons with disabilities for 6 years running, providing a platform for these people to take part in winter sports and engaging the persons with disabilities into the winter sports. We also carried out a self-improvement fitness project, sports rehabilitation care plan, and other programs to promote the rehabilitation and fitness of persons with disabilities. Education and research on parasports is also making progress, and the persons with disabilities are more active in taking part in sports. Third, performances in parasports are improving steadily. In recent years, more and more athletes with disabilities have competed in international sporting events. They are meeting challenges and pursuing self-improvement. In major international events, Chinese parasports athletes have given outstanding performances. Over the past 40 years, China's parasports delegation have ranked top on both the gold medals table and total medals table at the Paralympics. In 2018, in the Paralympic Games in Pyeongchang, the first ever gold medal was won by the Chinese delegation, starting a new page in China's participation in Winter Paralympic Games. Their impact of parasports is rising and has enhanced their performances. Starting from 2015 to 2021, the number of winter parasports in China increased from 2 to 6, meaning that all the winter Paralympic sports are now covered. The number of athletes increased from less than 50 to nearly 1,000. At the same time, the cultivation and development mechanism and supporting mechanism for para sports athletes are also improving. Fourth, contributing to international parasports. The white paper gave an overview of China's success in holding the Beijing Summer Paralympics, Shanghai Special Olympic World Summer Games, the Far East and South Pacific Games for the disabled, Guangzhou Asian Para Games, and the all-out efforts in preparing for the Beijing Winter Paralympic Games and Asian Para Games in Hangzhou. China has made all-out efforts to prepare for the upcoming 2020 Paralympic Winter Games. China has taken an active part in parasports internationally and in international exchange on this front. This is a picture of China taking part in inter-civilization exchanges. Fifth, achievements in parasports reflect improvements in China's human rights. The flourishing of parasports is a reflection of the spirits and strength of parasports in China. It also speaks volumes about China's achievements in developing and growing human rights. China has put people at the center in growing parasports, and we're grounded in Chinese reality to promote equal participation on the part of persons with disabilities. We give equal attention to all types of human rights and promote the well-rounded development of persons with disabilities. We're committed to international cooperation on parasports. The development of parasports in China suits China's national conditions and has met the needs of the persons with disabilities. It has helped to enhance their physical and mental well-being, and the parasports is an epitome of the progress in China's human rights cause. To care for the persons with disabilities is an important hallmark of the progress of civilizations. Developing parasports is important in enhancing the self-respect, confidence, and pursuit of excellence on the part of persons with disabilities. It will also help to foster the enterprising spirit and an atmosphere in which all people care about, respect, understand, and support persons with disabilities. It's also important for promoting rounded development of the persons with disabilities and promoting common prosperity. In the new journey of fully building a socialist modernization, China will continue to genuinely respect and protect the rights and interests of persons with disabilities, including their right to take part in parasports, and continue to meet their needs for a better life. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Now the floor is open for questions. Please identify your media affiliation before asking a question.
主持人好，我是中央广电总台记者。
Thank you. With CCTV, my question goes to Mr. Lyu Yansong. As you said, this is the first time for China to issue a white paper on parasports. How do we see the relationship between respecting and protecting human rights and parasports?
Thank you for your question. This is a question that needs our in-depth thinking. General Secretary Xi Jinping delivered an important speech when chairing the 37th group study session of the CPC Political Bureau. He elaborated on China's positions, views, and development path on human rights, and emphasized that we need to be aware of the urgency and importance of human rights work, to stay committed to China's path of human rights development, better respect and protect human rights, and protect and promote the development of human rights in China. General Secretary Xi Jinping specifically pointed out that we need to give full play to the strength of mass organization and better protect the rights and interests of women, children, the elderly, and persons with disabilities. Respecting human rights and protecting human rights, we must have them both. Protecting the rights and interests of persons with disabilities and develop the cause of the disabled, including parasports, is an important part of China's human rights cause. The boom in parasports marks that China's cause for persons with disabilities has been brought to a higher level. This is a vivid example of China's achievement in human rights theory and practice. We stick to the leadership of the CPC and socialist system. We ensure that people are the masters of the country and everyone can have equal rights and can equally have human rights and promote the all-round development of different types of human rights. In practice, we have formed a mechanism for the works related to people with disabilities that is led by the party committee, undertaken by the government and participated by the public, and fully leverage the role of organizations. All levels of party committees and government regard the cause of the disabled as their due responsibility, include the cause of the disabled into all types of construction plans, and continue to improve the protection of the rights and interests of persons with disabilities so as to realize, safeguard, and develop the fundamental interests of the people. We are committed to the people-centered approach and want to encourage people to be more active and creative. We want the people to become the major facilitator, and beneficiary of the development in human rights. China is committed to promote the well-being of the persons with disabilities and at the same time improve their self-independence. We attach importance to respecting and protecting the human rights and dignity of persons with disabilities. We respect their own will and want them to truly enjoy their rights so that they can participate fully in social life with equal status and equal opportunities and sharing the results of physical and spiritual civilization. We have combined the universal principles of human rights with the realities of the country. In promoting human rights development, we have bear in mind China's realities and the demands of the people, and work to ensure that people can enjoy broad, specific, and effective human rights in accordance with law. The CPC and the Chinese government have implemented a series of measures to promote the cause of the disabled and improve their conditions. This has led to growing strength and achievements in parasports. And the goal of equality, participation, and sharing for persons with disabilities have been realized. We believe that the right to subsistence and development are the primary and basic human rights. Living a happy life is the primary human life. We fully and accurately implement the new development vision and promote the protection of rights and interests for persons with disabilities through development. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, China has established special welfare mechanism covering tens of thousands of persons with disabilities, and we have prioritized lifting millions of persons with disabilities in rural areas out of poverty as in the battle against poverty. And we have included parasports in our national strategies of fitness for all, a healthy China, and make China a strong country in sports. We have provided better public services to persons with disabilities. We have realized the goal of building a moderately prosperous society in all respects and leaving no person with disabilities behind. More persons with disabilities have access to education, employment, and equal participation in social life, and their sense of fulfillment, happiness, and purity improved. We protect human rights in accordance with law and believe that everyone is equal before law. We respect and protect human rights throughout the entire process of making laws, enforcing laws, and abiding by laws. We continue to improve the law-based protection of human rights. Now, a legal system is in place in China to protect the rights of persons with disabilities. It has the Constitution as the core, and the law on the protection of persons with disabilities as the mainstay, and laws and regulations on disability prevention and rehabilitation, the education, employment, and building an accessible environment for persons with disabilities as important underpinnings. The judiciary is also cracking down on crimes that infringe on the rights of persons with disabilities, providing with more legal assistance and more accessible environment. We actively participate in the global governance of human rights, uphold the common values of humanity, practice true multilateralism, and foster and work together to build a community with a shared future for mankind. We fulfill our responsibility in the Convention of the Rights of the Disabilities and promote regional and international cooperation on parasports. I'm with Phoenix News. The Beijing Winter Olympics just ended, and we have all seen the charm of winter sports. Can you tell us about the development of winter parasports and the participation in winter parasports? Thank you.
Thank you for this question. China pays high attention to the ice and snow sports for persons with disabilities. In recent years, many measures have been taken to encourage more and greater participation. In particular, since China won the bid to host the Winter Olympics and Paralympics, more and more persons with disabilities have taken part in winter sports. First, despite a late start, China's winter sports for persons with disabilities has grown steadily and rapidly over the past years. Before 2015, among the 6 events of Winter Paralympics, we only took part in the cross-country skiing and wheelchair curling. In 2002, the Chinese delegation participated in the Salt Lake City Winter Paralympic Games for the first time. In 2014, at the Sochi Paralympics, we have 10 athletes taking part in cross-country and wheelchair ice curling. The wheelchair ice curling team won in 4th place. That was the best performance of Chinese Paralympic athletes by them. At the Pyeongchang Paralympic Games in 2018, the wheelchair curling team won the gold medal, the first ever. Second, the successful bidding of Winter Paralympic Games provided major opportunities. In July 2015, Beijing and Zhangjiakou won the bid to host the 2020 Winter Games, and with that, we embraced major opportunities in developing the winter sports for persons with disabilities. The past 2 years, without efforts, major progress has been made. Between 2015 and 2021, the events for Paralympic Winter Games expanded from 2 to 6. The athletes jumped from less than 50 to nearly 1,000. Since 2018, each year we hold nationwide Paralympic Games, including alpine skiing, biathlon, cross-country, snowboarding, ice hockey, and wheelchair curling. These 6 disciplines are all included in national games for disabled athletes. Since 2016, we have had more experience in taking part in international sporting events. In the upcoming Paralympic Games, we will have altogether 96 athletes taking part in all the 73 disciplines. Compared with 2014, the last Paralympics, we have an additional 86 athletes, and another 4 events and 67 disciplines are added. Third, with the Winter Paralympics as an opportunity, the participation on the part of persons with disabilities in winter sports has also flourished. The successful bidding has also encouraged more persons with disabilities to take part in winter sports. Since 2016, we have held for 6 years running the winter sports season for persons with disabilities, which enabled the persons with disabilities to take part in winter sports as part of the bigger goal of engaging 300 million people in winter sports. Now, all the 31 provinces, regions, and municipalities have winter sports games. There are also sporting events in winter to help with the rehabilitation and fitness of persons with disabilities. There are many programs. We have explored new ways, such as mini skiing, dryland skiing, dryland curling, skating, ice luge, ice dragon boat, and tug-of-war on snow. These are all innovative and fun games enjoyed by persons with disabilities. We have also compiled a guidebook for persons with disabilities to take part in winter sports, all in an effort to provide services and support for people with disabilities across China to take part in winter sports. Thank you. With 24 KZ, other than sports, how does the Chinese government support the life, learning, and work of persons with disabilities? What more measures will be rolled out in this regard?
Thank you for your question. The Chinese government attaches great importance to the protection of rights and interests of persons with disabilities, who have made all-round efforts to provide a more accessible environment for the disabled and facilitate their daily life, study, and work. First, enhance legislation on an accessible environment. A system of laws and regulation has been formed which serves as the foundation for improving, managing, and supervising work on accessible environment. In this system, laws such as laws on the protection of persons with disabilities are the basic underpinning. The regulations on the building of an accessible environment is the mainstay, and it is complemented by laws and regulations at the local level. Second, we have included building an accessible environment in our plans for national economic and social development and relevant special plans. We have also included it into our human rights action plan. These made clear our national commitments on human rights and fulfilled the requirements on the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And our authorities have published a series of measures to promote the building of an accessible environment. And third, we have comprehensively improved the accessible environment by continuing to increase the coverage of accessible facilities. One, we ensure that all newly built roads, buildings, and residential areas are accessible and improve accessibility for existing facilities. Among comprehensive service facilities in villages or communities across the country, 81% of entrances, 56% of service counters, and 38% of restrooms have been constructed or upgraded for accessibility. During the 13th five-year plan period, adaptation has been done for 650,000 registered families with members with severe disabilities. This effort aims to lift the disabled out of poverty and improve their quality of life. To create an accessible travel and service environment, the Chinese government continues to improve and upgrade the accessible environment for transportation and strives to create an accessible travel environment. For example, accessible passenger vehicles are used across the country. More than 3,000 set of trains have special seats for the disabled. There are reserved seats for the elderly, infirm, sick, and disabled in public transport vehicles, and low-floor buses and accessible taxis are in use. Buses in cities are equipped with telescreens and the next stop announcement system. And three, comprehensively promote information accessibility. Efforts will be made to solve the difficulties encountered by special groups, such as the elderly and disabled, and when using intelligent technology, such as the internet, enhance the supply of information terminal products, and promote the application of accessible products and service technologies. We will provide more channels for persons with disabilities to participate in the information society, promote integration, and provide them with an accessible environment, and strive to bridge the digital gap. Fourth, actively promote accessibility in campuses and workplaces. Efforts will be made to promote inclusive education, improve accessibility facilities in schools, provide support and convenience for students with disabilities, and promote integration with other students. We will fully protect the employment rights and interests of the disabled, encourage party and government organs, public institutions, and enterprises to take the lead in hiring persons with disabilities. The employers are required to make adaptation to the workplace to make it more accessible and provide convenience to persons with disabilities. Going forward, the Chinese government will actively implement the requirements of the 14th Five-Year Plan for the building of an accessible environment, accelerate legislation, implement the working mechanism for promoting an accessible environment, enhance policy and standard system. We will improve the level of accessibility of urban and rural infrastructure, carry out upgrading for families, and develop information accessibility and enhance social awareness. Efforts will be made to speed up the building of an accessible environment so that to facilitate the work, life, and study of persons with disabilities. My question is for the General Administration of Sports. How do you coordinate the work on parasports when implementing the national strategies of fitness for all and healthy China? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Parasports is an important part of the cause of persons with disabilities. It is also an integral part of the sports in general. The Party Central Committee attaches high importance to parasports. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, the CPC Central Committee, with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, lays great emphasis on parasports and other forms of sports. A series of new arrangements and new requirements have been rolled out for the development of sports in China. We are doing our best to implement these requirements and arrangements. An important part of that is to step up top-level design. And we need to put policies in place to guarantee persons with disabilities participation in sports. It is stipulated in the Fitness for All regulations that all citizens have the right to sports, which makes it clear that all people, all Chinese citizens, including persons with disabilities, have the basic right to take part in sports. In the 2021 to 2022 Fitness for All plan, it is said that support must be given to all forms of parasports and encourage greater participation. More needs to be done to improve the accessible environment for public fitness facilities and encourage persons with disabilities to have rehabilitation and fitness programs. The guidelines for building China into a country strong in sports also points out that we need to facilitate the participation of persons with disabilities in sports and the participation in sports by the senior population, professionals, and persons with disabilities should also be enhanced with better public services. The General Administration of Sports, together with China Disabled Persons Federation, have issued a raft of documents to incorporate parasports into the overall fitness programs. And we are working to ensure that people with disabilities enjoy equal right to sports. We're promoting quality of basic public services in the effort to increase the sense of benefit and happiness for persons with disabilities. With these laws and regulations and policies in place, the governments at all levels will get a basis to proceed from to ensure participation. On our part, we will do our best to ensure the implementation of these laws and regulations and policies, and so that persons with disabilities can enjoy a better life. With Cover News, what is the rationale behind efforts to promote the parasports? What is the significance and value? I will take this question. Thank you. Maybe we can approach this question from the following aspects. First, sports is an important way for people with disabilities to build body strength. Sports is good for the motor, neuron circulation, breathing, digestion, endocrine, immune, and urinary systems of the people, and make our bodies stronger. People with disabilities can also take part in sports of various forms to enhance their physical well-being, as well as their mental well-being. So through multi-pronged measures, we're encouraging persons with disabilities to take part in sports and also competitive sports. And second, sports is an important vehicle to promote the rehabilitation of persons with disabilities. We have national standards for the categorization of persons with disabilities. There are visually challenged, hearing challenged, language challenged, bodily challenged, intellectually challenged, mentally challenged persons, and people who have several disabilities. Now, there are 4 degrees of disabilities. They all have some kind of physical and mental impediments. With the rehabilitation methods, the physical and mental impediments can be removed on the part of persons with disabilities, and sports is a very important way. It will help to improve the physical and mental well-being of people with disabilities, increase their ability for independent life, and increase their life quality. Third, sports is also an important way for people with disabilities to be included in this society. It's a way for them to engage with the wider public and to enrich their lives. By taking part in parasports, they will also let the general public know more about their community. The inclusive development of persons with disabilities is an important mark of the progress of civilizations. It's also an important goal of the cause of persons with disabilities. Fourth, parasports is an important part of the human rights protection of persons with disabilities. The UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities clearly says that the parties need to take appropriate measures to encourage the participation in sports by persons with disabilities. China's law on the protection of disabled persons also provides that the rights of persons with disabilities to take part in sports must be protected. Promoting parasports is an effort to fulfill our obligations under the UN Convention and Chinese law. We should do all we can to encourage people with disabilities to take part in sports, to unleash their potential and demonstrate their enterprising and indomitable spirit. In this way, their own dignity, freedom, value, and strength will also be demonstrated. The persons with disabilities now have a stronger desire to take part in sports and all forms of cultural activities. Sports has become an indispensable part for persons with disabilities, and this community is enjoying the fun of sports. Thank you. With Southern Metropolis Daily. At the Tokyo Paralympic Games, the Chinese delegation's performance left a deep impression. Can you give us an update on the notable achievements in competitive sports by persons with disabilities in China?
Thank you for your question. We all know that China parasports athletes have given outstanding performances at major international sporting events. In 1984, for the first time in history, Chinese Paralympians participated in the 7th Summer Paralympics in Los Angeles and won the first ever gold medal for China. This led to a surge of interest for sports among people with disabilities. After that, Team China participated in every Paralympic Games, and performances improved steadily. At the Summer Paralympics in Athens in 2004, for the first time in history, Team China ranked first in both medals and gold medals won. At the Summer Paralympics in Tokyo in 2021, Team China ranked first in terms of gold medal tally and the overall medal standings for the fifth consecutive time. What's more, since 1987, Chinese athletes with intellectual disabilities have participated in 9 Special Olympic World Summer Games and 7 Special Olympics World Winter Games. In 1989, Chinese athletes with hearing impairments made their debut at the 16th Deaf World Games in New Zealand. Team China's performed well at Asian Para Games as well. During the 13th five-year plan period, athletes with disabilities have participated in 160 international sporting events, bringing home 1,114 gold medals. And second, we have a series of brilliant national sports events. Since China organized its first national games for persons with disabilities, or NGPD, in 1984, 11 such events have been held, with the number of sports increasing from 3, that is athletics, swimming, and table tennis, to 34. Since the third games in 1992, the NGPD has been listed as a large-scale sporting event ratified by the State Council, and it is held once every 4 years. This marked the institutionalized and standardization of parasports in China. In 2019, Tianjin hosted the 10th NGPD together with the 7th National Special Olympic Games, making it the first city to host both the NGPD and the National Games of China. In 2021, Shanxi hosted the 11th NGPD together with the 8th National Special Olympic Games and the National Games of China. This means that for the first time, the NGPD and National Games of China have been held in the same city and in the same year, making it possible for the two games to be planned and implemented in parallel and achieve equal success. The athletes keep seeking outperformance, seek excellence, and outperform themselves. Team China has won 96 golds, 60 silvers, and 51 bronze, and broken 29 world records. This is not only about performance on sports, but also shows the Chinese spirit on the international arena. This spirit is about patriotism. It's about seeking self-improvement, which is a national spirit. It is also about unity and optimism. These are the source of strength and spiritual support for our athletes and coaches to overcome difficulties.
同时呢，中国残疾人竞技体育取得的成绩是许多无名英雄
And these achievements in parasports are possible thanks to the dedication of many unsung heroes. The decades of perseverance and hard work of several generations of people engaged in parasports have laid the foundation for achievements in parasports. Among them, there are coaches, scientific research teams, and staff who are highly professional, full of love and selfless dedication. There are also guides who keep the persons with disabilities company all year round. They are the unsung heroes behind our achievements. They help athletes train and compete. They grow with the athletes and ensure that every para-athlete is in the best condition to give out the best performances on the field. China's parasports were able to develop thanks to the continued opening up, and we would like to take this opportunity to appreciate the assistance our international peers gave to us.
好，请继续提问。这边吧。对，第一排。
谢谢主持人。中国日报记者提问。
I'm with China Daily.
能介绍
The Winter Paralympic Games is about to open soon. Can you tell us the preparations of Team China for this game and what are your goals and expectations for this game? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take this question. At the 2022 Winter Paralympics, the Team China will participate in curling, alpine skiing, snowboarding, cross-country skiing, and biathlon. Starting from the 25th of February, they have checked in to the Paralympic Village in Beijing, Yanqing, and Zhangjiakou. Now, the wheelchair curling team members have also checked in Beijing, the Paralympic Village. Now they are making preparations and getting used to the venues and the competition plans. They have high expectations for the upcoming games. Compared with Summer Paralympic Games, the Winter Paralympic Games had a late start and weak foundation. There is huge room for improvement. At the 2014 Sochi Winter Paralympic Games, like I said earlier, we had only 10 para-athletes taking part in the 2 events and 6 disciplines. This time in Beijing, we have altogether 96 para-athletes to take part in all the 73 disciplines of the 6 events. The goals of Team China are as follows. First, to demonstrate to the world the unyielding and enterprising spirit of the Chinese power athletes in the new era. This spirit is very important. General Secretary Xi Jinping spoke highly of the grit, tenacity, and fortitude of power athletes. Their performances still have room for improvement, but their spirit is indomitable, and they will push limits and score for great performances. Second, the goal is to demonstrate the achievements of the Winter Paralympics. General Secretary Xi Jinping made very important instructions on the preparations for the Winter Paralympics. We will take the instructions very seriously and take the good preparations for the participation as a major political task. We had a leading group on preparing for the 2022 Paralympic Games. Throughout the Federation of Persons with Disabilities, and after more than 6 years' efforts, we have made breakthrough. This upcoming Games will be the 6th time for China to take part in Paralympic Games. It also has a record number of athletes and the disciplines of participation. The third is to scoring for great performance, to win honor for the country. On 24th 4th of February, General Secretary Xi replied a letter to a snowboarder, Zhu Yiming. We also learned the reply letter immediately and will follow the guidance and score for breakthroughs and to win honor for our motherland.
后面吧，这位记者，第二排。
好，谢谢主持人。北京青年报记者提问。然后刚才
Thank you. With Beijing Youth Daily, the equal participation of sports is an important right of persons with disabilities. How does our country protect their right to sports in accordance with the law?
Thank you. I will answer your question in 3 aspects. First, China has included Parasports in its national strategies of Fitness for All, Health China initiative and building China into a country strong in sports. China has also given persons with disabilities stronger protection of rights and special assistance through legislation. These offered a strong foundation for ensuring their participation in sports. For example, in Article 41 to 45 in the Law on the Protection of Persons with Disabilities, there are requirements on specific measures the government and societies should take to ensure that persons with disabilities can enjoy equal right to cultural and sports activities. And in the 16th article in the Law on Sports, says that the whole society should support persons with disabilities in participating in sports, and all levels of government should take relevant measures to facilitate the participation in sports by persons with disabilities. In Article 45, it says that the public sports facilities should enable and facilitate sports activities and provide preferential treatment to persons with disabilities. Second, the Chinese government actively advances the building of an accessible environment, which provides a strong guarantee for their participation in various kinds of sports. For example, since 2019, Beijing has implemented the special action for creating an accessible environment. It has determined on 17 key tasks in key areas such as urban roads upgrading, public transportation, public services, venue, and information exchange. A total of 336,000 sites have been modified, which basically making the whole capital core area accessible. The urban accessible environment has become much more standardized, accommodating, and systemic. Zhang Jiakou worked actively to make public facilities more accessible, which significantly improved the accessible environment. Third, China continues to improve the system for public sports services and devoted great efforts to help persons with disabilities to participate in diverse sports and cultural events. The Public Cultural Service Guarantee Law and the Regulation on Cultural and Sports Services all says that cultural and sports services should be provided to persons with disabilities according to their conditions and needs. All levels of government have introduced innovative ways of providing services to grassroots persons with disabilities, carry out broad-based fitness and rehabilitation activities, and different localities have established special guidance team for the persons with disabilities to participate in sports so as to better protect their right to basic sports services. In the interest of time, this will be the last question. I'm with Beijing News. Parasports is an important part of Fitness for All program. Can you tell us more about improving the public service for sports for the persons with disabilities. Just now, Mr. Lyu and Ms. Mei have elaborated on the importance of participation in parasports. A very important part of ensuring participation in sports is to improve the public service sector. To improve the fitness for all public service, there are mainly three aspects. First, we need to provide convenient and accessible sports facilities for persons with disabilities. And we need to organize more sports events for persons with disabilities. And we need to provide more guidance for their participation in sports. On sports facilities, we have done the following. First, we have used central finances to guide and support localities to implement the supporting project for persons with disabilities to participate in the Fitness for All programs. You can see many accessible sports facilities in the communities, which take into consideration the conditions and demands of persons with disabilities. We have asked these public facilities to follow the requirement of the standard on accessible design and to improve these facilities and equipment to make them accessible. We're also encouraging companies to develop more sports facilities and equipment for persons with disabilities and provide them with incentives to do so. We have worked with relevant departments to publish and implement the national basic public service standards for mass sports. And also we published a standard for the basic public services in public sports venues, so that these public sports facilities are open to persons with disabilities free of charge or with low charge. And second, more events should be held for persons with disabilities so that they can better integrate into society. On Fitness for All days and other important dates, we include our friends with disabilities into these events. And we have also worked actively to encourage participation in international sporting events such as the Paralympics, Winter Paralympics, Asia Para Games. All these events provided opportunity for persons with disabilities to participate in sports. Another important aspect is guidance for persons with disabilities. We have a team of guides. We have a team of 200 guides for persons with disabilities, and we have provided them with trainings. In their training textbooks, we have arranged special chapters on the guidance for persons with disabilities in sports activities, so that they can provide more targeted and effective guidance for persons with disabilities when they are participating in physical exercises. This will help them better integrate into the society.
That was officials briefing the media on the progress of the Beijing Winter Paralympics, which will open on Friday. And the officials also released a white paper on China's parasports progress and protection of rights. And the officials noted on the press conference that while China continues to promote the care and to promote sports for the people with disabilities,